Glace Chase's play Triple X opened at the Bill Brown Theatre recently, and it not only has critical acclaim, it has everyone talking about the nudity, the drug use, the eye-popping sex, and it's about a trans love story. So, what sort of a play keeps everyone happy? Let's talk to the lady who wrote the play and stars in it. Please welcome Glace Chase. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm pretty tired, but I'm pretty good. I'm pretty excited. Yeah.
Well, yes, the play's been going very well. It's not only the reviews are amazing, the people I've spoken to who've attended are raving about the experience. You must be pleased.
I am. It's a bit overwhelming, actually, but in a good way. Like, as like trans women, we often are kind of just a bit ignored and you're not kind of used to it. And then suddenly all this love and attention is coming. And I'm like, oh God, I don't quite know what to do with it all. It's good problems to have.
So you must be really happy with the reception of the play. It's a trans love story. So tell us a little bit about the story of Triple X.
Well, it's in a nutshell, it's about a straight Wall Street bro who has an affair with a trans performer, and then his family finding out the day before he gets married. Yeah.
That sounds like fun. So there's a little bit of contention in amongst all of that.
Yeah, well, and the mother and the sister discover a lot more about their son and brother than they were expecting. Yeah.
Yes. And that's the thing, I suppose, that trans relationships, that generally they do stay on the down low, that either the trans stays stealth with the family and minimises contact, or the trans is just never say, oh, she's out shopping. Oh, she's up. Yes.
I'm using his company credit card. Thank you.
Yes. She's out shoplifting.
You come for me, Destiny.
Oh.
Funny.
Yeah. So the family are confronted with this. How do they respond?
Well, I think it's really, it comes at a few different kind of levels. There's the shock of finding out that, your son and brother is into that, and he's always been sort of so macho and, a bit of a player, really. But then there's also other stuff in the relationship that they find out, which is more to the unique connection between Dexy and Scotty. That there's a bit of mental illness there, and, and that, maybe Dexy actually helps him live a fuller life. And that's confronting for them both for different reasons.
Yeah. And we get a warning when we go to book tickets that there's nudity, there's eye-popping sex, there's very frank language.
Yes.
Yes. What else is there? There's the use of herbal cigarettes in Queensland.
I know. It's disgusting, isn't it?
Fucking disgraceful.
I nearly pulled out of the production when I saw that. I was like, this is outrageous.
You're responsible for that.
Don't blame me. I don't know. I just wrote it.
So you're based in New York, but you're originally from Australia and you're an Aussie. How did you come to get to New York?
I've been, I'm a dual citizen, so I'd spent a lot of time there as well. And I'd kind of been back and forth a lot most of my life. So and then, I don't know, it was 10 years ago, my career kind of bottomed out here. And, it was before I transitioned, and I just had a bit of a breakdown, really. It was like, I'm going to New York. And, and so then I went to New York and I kind of figured myself out. And New York is a great place to figure yourself out. If you're a nightlife-y kind of person like I am, it definitely allowed me to find myself. New York is is home for me. Yeah.
And so you over there in New York, you host karaoke, bingo, trivia.
Yeah.
You run, what is it, Dreamtime Drag Queen Tours?
Yeah, Dream Queen Tours. It's a drag queen tour guide business. So I did. I don't really do that so much anymore. it was going quite well, but then I realized that the tourism industry is like the mafia over there, and I was like, this is gonna
Oh,
be, yeah, like I was like, oh, and it would have been just like a full-time job to actually even, build it as a business. And I got bored, and I just
yeah.
like it being about me. So
Yes, it must have been fun. Actually, we could do drag queen tours in the valley and the city here. There's a drag queen on every corner.
oh God, well, there is these days, isn't there, though,
Yeah,
Death? Everyone's a bloody drag queen now. It's like, it's crazy to me.
yeah. The play has got some marvelous actors in it too, as well as yourself. You're the star, but it's got some fabulous actors starring there at the Bill Brown Theatre for Queensland Theatre.
Yes, I mean, Josh McConville really, as the straight Wall Street banker, is, really the star as well. He's in every scene, and he is a powerhouse performer, intimidating as hell. When we first met each other, I was scared absolutely shitless of him. But he's so brilliant in this role. It's just like, it's kind of incredible actually to
Yeah,
watch him do it. Yeah.
yeah.
And then too, there's like amazing Kristen O'Leary, who is like one of the Queensland's nearest and dearest and most bestest performers. She's phenomenal in this role, in the role of Scotty's mother, Deb, who's like a conservative Kentucky woman. She just knocks it out of the park. She's just absolutely incredible. And then of course Contessa Trevone as the lesbian activist sister, and then Elijah McWilliams as Scotty's best friend, Jace. Everyone kind of gets their moment. We are a very happy cast.
Fabulous. So Glace, you did stand up. I've seen there's some wonderful videos on YouTube, of course, for anyone who wants to check them out. Just search Glace Chase on YouTube. And you were doing a show in New York, and Paige from Queensland Theatre, an old friend of yours, was over there, saw the show, and I read that you caught up after the show and was swapping stories, as one does with a few bevies after a show. And out of that, Triple X was born. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Actually a really great story. So Paige and I, like, we were old friends, but we hadn't seen each other for years. Like, we kind of lost contact. Like, we're still on Facebook friends, but I hadn't been back to Australia for so many years. And so she was coming into town, and it's like, I'll come to my gig. And we hung out after, and we're just like getting well tipsy. And I was just telling some war stories, I guess. And when I say war, I mean sex. And she, there was one pretty amazing incident that had happened with this one guy. And Paige was honestly floored and in hysterical laughter. It was a pretty good night too, I will admit that. And at the end, she was like, "There's a play in that. You've got to do a play, and I'm going to get you money to write it." And I actually said, "No, Paige, I'm not interested in writing, because writing is grueling and difficult and hard, and I kind of am having a fun life. I'm not interested." She's like, "Nope, I'm going to make it happen." And I said, "Thank you, but no thank you." And anyway, now 4 years later, here we are doing this damn show. So she actually did get me to put pen to paper in the end. Yeah.
Yes, and like everyone raves about the acting, but the writing particularly gets stunning reviews, and is exquisitely written, the situations, the people in the play. So you must have embraced writing just a little.
Destiny, and can I just say, Destiny, too, it's so nice to be doing this interview with you, with another trans woman who, like, honestly, it actually really means something to me, because often you just get it, and with
Yeah,
this kind of stuff, you have to do a lot of explaining, and it's really refreshing to be able to talk to someone who I know just automatically gets it. And you're right, I did end up committing to the writing of it, and it was probably the hardest professional experience of my life. It fundamentally changed me as a person. I really had to sit in this place of saying, "Oh God, I could get emotional, but like, am I worthy of love, actually?" And we're two trans women. We know it's rough out there romantically. You kind of get treated like shit, like most of your life. And I knew that like a trans romance story was what the world needed, and it was time to tell that story. And I had to really wrestle with it in my own heart. Like, am I like me as me? Am I worthy of actually ever having love? And how would that look like? Because I'm used to being treated like shit. I'm used to sort of painting myself out of the picture. And I mean, and I'm not going to lie, the bulk of the play was written off and on over 2 years. But like when I was like in deep writing mode for like, I'd be like 2 months, you know, kind of in drafts, and I'd barely be sleeping. I'd be in this writer's space that I'd hired for writers, and I'd be there at all hours of the morning. I'd be like wanting to throw myself under a bus, and like I'd just be so emotional. It was a really tough experience. And also too, it was a really tough experience to look at, can a man like love me? Like is it available to him to do that? And to interrogate that so deeply, it's a life-changing experience, actually.
What I thought was brilliant, there's parts of the script where you explain things that I thought, oh God, yes, I've always thought that, but I'd never put it into words. And you managed to put those things into words, which is an incredible talent. And so the audience, whether they be gay, trans, straight, whatever, come away being thoroughly entertained, of course. How could you not be with herbal drug use, herbal cigarette use? But they come away thoroughly entertained, but they actually understand the issues. And not only from the trans woman's point, but the men have it tough too. They love these women, but they're judged, they're discriminated against. Actually, they're treated just as badly often. Of course, they have an easier out than the trans do. But that's the value of Triple X. It explains so many of those things that people sort of may have thought about, but they can't put into words. The Triple X puts it into words.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think, I mean, it is really important to, I mean, I always say it's like really easy to focus on like the trans woman and like, it's really easy to love her and to like, you know, because it's kind of quite obvious in a way. But if you don't actually also have that same love in your heart for the men that are into trans women, then you're actually just perpetuating the discrimination. Like, it's all very well and good for you to love, like my character Dexy, but how do you actually feel if your brother, your son, or hell, your ex-boyfriend is into trans women? Like that I think is a lot, like that's actually what this story is really about. You can say I'm charismatic and blah 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 and I'm a sweetheart, that's great, but how do you feel if it came close to you? If you found out that your ex-boyfriend, like, you know, is into trans women. I've heard horrific stories about men that have been shamed publicly and humiliated and made to feel lesser than for, you know, loving a trans woman or being, you know, romantically interested in trans women. And that's appalling. And it affects us too. I have a great time running around that station lingerie, let me tell you. And there are worse aspects of my job than to have to do that like incredibly funny sex scene with Josh McConville. We have a hoot doing it, and so I hope everyone enjoys it because it's actually it's the most stupid fun we've had in a while, I think.